Welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. This will be my last 2023 video or 2022 video. Who knows? Maybe my last 2023 video if YouTube keeps changing their terms and agreements or terms of service. This is going to be my last 2022 video. And, I'd like to do a really uplifting thing where men are great and men are strong, but let's face it, those stories are a little tough to come to nowadays. It's not to say that we aren't strong and we aren't tough and that we won't be fine for the upcoming years, but it's going to take some strategic planning, I think, and some preparedness. I don't think, we're not out of the woods yet, according to, and I've got quite a few stories, just the headlines I'm going to touch on a little bit. I think things are going to get worse as far as the culture war. I think there are going to be more YouTube bannings. I think they're going to go after Elon Musk for wanting to defend free speech and not towing the line. I think things are going to come to the point where reality is going to have to hit the narrative for the narrative to change, and we're not there yet. Things are going to have to, we're now 3/4 into a recession, and they fail to call it one, and they're just kind of kicking that can down the road, talking about, well, we might see one next year after we're already 6 months into one. So this is going to be my farewell to 2022, my preparation for 2023. And I do want to say to you guys, there's going to be a lot of bad news. There's going to be some frustrating things coming that you're going to have to hear and see, but they want to demoralize you. They want you to give up. They want to make fighting. They want to make you a pushover and make the next year easier. Instead, we got to double down and make it even harder for them. I will be over on local for those of you that are single or don't have plans tonight, or are like me, which is too old to be bothered to go out and deal with the chaos. I have a movie night, a New Year's movie night going on over at Locals, betterbachelor.locals.com. We're going to be streaming a couple of movies. I'll be doing voiceovers and commentary, and you guys post memes in the comments, and we have a good laugh and have some drinks to ring in the new year. So if you're looking for something uplifting and fun, join us over there tonight. Starts 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Links are on the forum, and you don't have to be a supporter. Just members over there can. So I'm gonna go down through some headlines. We're gonna talk about some of these topics. I won't make this incredibly long. From The Sun, masks, reality, and danger. Police Scotland blasted for branding the kitty lovers, the peds, minor attracted people. So they're trying to rebrand people that want to do the old good times with kids under 18 or under 16, depending on where you live. They want to brand this as, they're just, people with some problems, but we shouldn't look at them as bad people. Not going to happen. Sorry. But they're normalizing it. This fight will continue. The World Boxing Council, they're going to make a new category that will put, and this is good news actually, they're going to put a new category where if you're going from male to female, female to male, you're in your own category. You guys can punch each other in the face. Same thing for swimming. So, but again, they're what they've done now at this point is they're normalizing everything. So they push in real deep into enemy territory, and then they say, okay, we'll back up just a little bit, and then people are supposed to say, phew, okay, we won. No, they're still 40 miles in on your territory. They're still going to try to normalize this stuff. They're still going to say, well, now there's categories of sports and everything in the future, and that way that if kids want to do this, there's a society just waiting for them, made just for them. They will continue to push the normalization for this. So just be ready for it. If you didn't see my other video today, please go check it out. It is a horrible story, again, about what's happening to our youth today. But this is why I say things are going to get worse. We're just starting the downslide. They say the year of media layoffs. This is from December 23rd, just a week ago. Ad tier launches and private equity money fueling celebrity brands. What's happening is all this free money led to inflation, and now the free money is going away because interest rates are going up, and it's going this way for both businesses and our government. And now you have places like BlackRock and billionaires and millionaires funding this stuff to keep the narrative going, even though the money's gone. So you're going to continue to see the media, writers, companies, and I have some others here that I'm going to read. You're going to see them flailing and fighting and struggling and screaming as their ships go down. Again, a good thing ultimately, but the fight on the way down is going to be, it's going to be a bad one. It's going to get nasty, and I think you're going to see censorship get worse, and you're going to see social media get worse, and you're going to see these people that write these articles just screaming into the void as they go down, and it's going to get ugly, I think. Same thing with the censorship. Again, this is a win, but don't think that these companies shutting down is not going to affect the economy. Woke fail. Netflix shares plummet more than 50% in 2022. Worst year in more than a decade. Again, this is a win, and I got a couple more that I'm going to read that are wins here real quick. Disney stock on its way to worst year since 1974 after Avatar sequel disappoints. Again, from what I've heard, relatively good movie, but they've ruined their brand so much no one trusts them anymore. I will never see the movie because I'm not giving Hollywood my money anymore because they hate me. Warner Brothers and Discovery stock plunges, media giant dealing with 3 different issues. Again, all these stories are out there, but I'm just touching on stuff. Facebook parent Meta stock plunges 24%, making Zuckerberg poorer by more than $10 million. That's just from a month and a half ago. I already read that story. I guess I accidentally pulled it up twice. And this is where it's going to start getting into affecting the rest of us. And this is kind of so I guess, again, this is a mixed message that a lot of good happened last year and a lot of realizations, but we're not quite where they wake up and decide to change the narrative just yet. I think this fight is, and it's going to be how quick government can gain control versus how hard people push back, which is why I'm going, I've talked about the Dutch farmers protests. I've talked about various issues that go on with the Canadian protests and government trying to take rights away. I'm going to expand into that stuff, I'm sure, as of 2023. Because if there's a point in time where you can't pay your electric and you go to the grocery store and half the shelves are empty and, you're really struggling with life, me coming on here and go and saying, look what this awful girl on Twitter did. Like, you're going to be like, dude, I don't care. I can't turn on my heat. I don't have enough electricity to turn on the lights very much anymore. I got fired. Like, we're going to have to, I want to keep reporting about the funny good times and the weird stories, but let's be honest, as things get tough, we need to be talking about this stuff. Stocks to fall to end Wall Street's worst year since 2008, which was the last financial meltdown. And of course, back then we bailed all these banks and companies out. And what did they do? They doubled down and they got even worse. We're out of money. We're running out of money real quick. Since 2008, I think we had about $10 trillion in deficit. Now we're at 30. Either the bailouts keep a coming and inflation keeps going and your money goes less and less and less further and everybody becomes poor, or we don't let them bail out, they collapse and a lot of people become unemployed, a lot of institutions get shut down. Now, if you're like me, I'm okay with a lot of this. Like, I think it's going to have to fall down before we rebuild it anew, but we'll see. So anyway, we lost 20% of our stock market this year, and the worst is yet to come because the free money just got cut off, over the last 6-8 months. They say from the Daily Mail, think your bills are high now. All the tax hikes hitting Americans on January 1st revealed electricity costs to soar. Even your nest egg is not safe. Now, if you remember, I'm going to read their headlines here, but they said, Biden's not going to be raising the taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. And you say, hey, I like this guy. Yeah, what he's doing instead is raising it on coal, electric, gas, food, everything else, all these companies that produce products that you have to buy. And what are they going to do? They're going to raise their cost of things, and that's how you're going to get taxed inadvertently through the value or the commodities that you buy. They say Democrats claimed Inflation Reduction Act would help ordinary American citizens, which it hasn't. But new analysis suggests it shreds President Biden's promise not to raise taxes for Americans making less than $400,000 a year. The Inflation Reduction Act includes 3 major energy taxes that are expected to increase household energy bills. One is a regressive tax on American oil and gas development, estimated to increase taxes by $6.5 billion. Democrats are proposing a 16.4 cent per barrel tax on crude oil. U.S. inflation is 7.1% for 12 months to November 22 after rising 7.7%. So that means What the government's telling you is interest has gone up 15% in the last 2 years. I think if you look at the price of goods, you know it's more than that. They say here $6.5 billion in natural gas, $12 billion in crude oil. This is how much our government thinks they're going to make from these taxes. $1.2 billion in coal, $74 billion in stock taxes, which is my retirement, $12 billion corporate income tax. And again, when these corporations have to pay more tax, they're going to take it out of their employees' salaries, or they're going to raise the price of the goods. And I, everybody screams, and I'm one of these people. Everybody screams these corporations are greedy. They don't pay enough to their employees. The fat cats at the top keep it all. They charge too much for their products. And if you look at the income for a lot of the grocery stores and oil manufacturers and everything else during this inflationary spike, they've raised their prices right along with it. So the amount of money they're making as a corporation is the same or more. I think that's crap. But for all those that are anti-capitalism and say, well, this is what happens when no. This is what happens when you have government regulating who the companies are that can. We only have like 3 chicken processing plants. We only have 5 or 6 major beef providers. We only have X, Y, because they keep allowing these purchases and these conglomerations to soak up all these other small businesses, because they make it hard on the little guy and the middleman. And if you haven't heard of the story of the Amish farmer who's been doing farming for the last, 50 years the same way, and the government shows up on his land and says, hey, you have to change all your processes or we're going to put you out of business. That guy's serving a very small community, yet they let these big companies get away with whatever they want to. And again, maybe I'm getting some of the technical details, but just look up Amish farmer, beef, cattle, U.S. government, you'll find it. So instead of raising taxes on all of us, they're going to raise it on everything else. And with all these, they say the $473 billion of new spending on climate and healthcare. So they're increasing healthcare, supposedly, although most of that goes to middle management and never reaches it to the person that's actually sitting there needing healthcare. Just ask Canada and the UK how that's going right now. And not to say, again, that their systems are bad. There's just nothing ever made. It's like this giant faucet at the top and a billion sponges underneath it that are just soaking away everything. And by the time it gets to the consumer at the bottom that actually needs the health care and the money and the assistance, they're standing there waiting for one drop to fall out of the sponge. I don't have the answers for this stuff, but I'm telling you, it is falling apart very quickly. So they're raising all this money, but again, remember, we've now sent, 50, 60 billion over to Ukraine. So everything that they're taxing you for is going over to a proxy war. And here's a list of all the tax cuts or the tax increases, which I just kind of read. So I won't bother with that. Senate passes 1.7 trillion budget bill. Here are some of the most notable items, including money for sanctuary cities and 15 billion in earmark. So if you watch the video I talked about where I was talking about New York City is going bankrupt, how do they keep surviving? The federal government keeps giving these cities money. They're subsidizing these cities. What happens when the federal government runs out of money? That's the stuff that's going to be happening. And where's your money going? Where's your money going? Let me see if I can read some of these. These are not the most ridiculous ones. They say the bill includes $785 million for migrant services, such as food, shelter, money that is expected to be doled out to sanctuary cities that have seen a surge in migrants in the past year, including Senator Chuck Schumer's home state of New York. Where's the money earmarked for Texas, Louisiana, Arizona, where the millions of illegal immigrants are coming into the country? It's not there. They're giving it to Chicago and New York and Los Angeles. Why? Because the Democrats are in power, and the Democrats are the ones that are feeding the Democratic cities that have all the bad policies at your tax dime. Now, again, whether you agree, look, I'm not some huge Republican. I hate all big government, but it's just getting bigger, and it's just taking more, and it's just spending more, and they're going to suffocate all of us. $15 billion was set aside for 7,200 earmarks to fund projects in lawmakers' home states. $3.6 million for the Department of Transportation. $3.6 million for the Department of Transportation to fund a hiking trail named after Michelle Obama in Georgia. $3 million earmarked for the New York History Society and American LGHD TV Museum Partnership Project, both subjects of GOP criticism. They're taking billions of dollars, and some of it, again, millions of dollars, for B highways and for Michelle Obama's hiking trail in Georgia. How's those bills going? How are those grocery bills going? How's that working out for you? How's your savings look? How's your investments look right now? They don't care. None of them care about you. And Republicans signed off this, just a large number of Republicans signed off this like the Democrats did. It's a big club. You ain't in it. And until they run out of money, or until it gets to the point where people just can't afford their bills and vote in different people that'll make different policies, this will continue. It may continue for much longer because the media, Hollywood, everybody keeps shutting down anybody that wants to talk about this stuff. It's going to be problematic. I won't continue down the rest of this, but these are just some topics I want you guys to look into. Is the Eurozone heading for another debt crisis? Yes. Yeah. They had negative interest rates for a while, but what's happening is inflation's taken off, so they have to get rid of the negative interest rate and start increasing interest rates, which means slowdown, and with the electric and some of the other prices, which have come down a long way. The sanctions against Russia, it looks like, are finally starting to work. We'll have to see. It may be that electricity costs and other costs close down small businesses, and then those people get laid off. And again, I haven't kept up on all of this over the last month or two, but we're going to see. But it looks like, the euro's running out of money. I mean, just look what's going on in Greece and Italy. Both of them are around 200% GDP. Japan's almost 300% GDP. United States is 130% GDP. We're so deep up to our eyebrows, and they've done nothing to solve it except lie to us and tell us it's not that bad. And what they're doing is they're jingling the keys of, all these other stories out in front of us, when the real thing that matters is not black versus white or men versus women or straight versus LGHD TV. This is what matters. This is going to affect everybody badly. Government debt down to 95.6% of GDP in Euro area, and this is from April 22nd. Now, so maybe things are getting a little better over there. They're still at about 100% GDP for all of the Euro. Not good. Almost record highs. The 2023 worldwide economic collapse is becoming more likely. This is from a guy that's a writer, J.D. Rucker. In this, he talks about real estate, the real estate bubble. The prices are continuing to go up in many areas, even though people can't afford to buy the homes, because you've got China coming in buying land. You've got Bill Gates scooping up some land. You've got BlackRock and Vanguard coming in and purchasing homes and then renting them out. And who are they funded by? The government, which is funded by us. So our own tax dollars are being used against us to increase the prices of homes and land, which is why I keep telling you, and I've said this multiple times because I love you guys, man, and I used to be a city boy. That's why I say get some land, a little bit of land, someplace on your own where you can maybe put up a few solar panels, dig a well, and maybe have a septic tank so you can, eat, drink, and crap cleanly and have a little bit of electricity. UK's financial system will crash in 2023, but they just don't want you to know it. This is from Levi Borba. And this is from October 6th. And again, I'm not going to read down all through these. I'm just letting you know that the mainstream media is not telling you the truth of things. We're in the second and then the third quarter of a recession, going into the fourth quarter of a recession. And what are the new? Because remember, they changed the definition of this recently. Oh, well, that's the traditional meaning, but what it really means, shut up. So we'll be going into the fourth quarter or fifth quarter of a recession before they get around to saying, hey, you know what? We might be entering a recession soon. You can lie all you want. Financial numbers are financial numbers. They changed the M1 money supply. And if you saw it spiked up through the roof. I am no financial guru, but one thing I do every day is sit on my computer for hours and hours and hours looking at the news and looking at stories and looking at things that affects the world, men, women, society as a whole. That's what I do all day long. And so I have the advantage over many of you is that that's my job, and you're busy, busting your ass at work and trying to bring home money for the family or the bills or whatever you do. And I'm not an expert, because experts drill down into one area, like a financial expert or, whatever, oil or all I do is I just sit back and try to take a really big view of how everything looks. And I've been around for a while. I've been investing in stock markets and things since my 20s. And I was one of the first earlier ones into the crypto space. I was in when it was, 50 to $100 for a Bitcoin or something like that. So I've been around a little while. And the biggest thing is during the whole lockdowns, right, for the bug and everything, I remember talking to my father before he passed and my mom, and I said, this doesn't make sense. Something doesn't make sense here. The stock market is going up to all-time highs while the businesses are shut down, while they're saying you can't go to work, while people are getting laid off, while the government is just, the money printer is going mad. This doesn't make any sense. Something's going on here, and I don't trust the stock market. And so when it was near its all-time highs, I sold. And when crypto was near its all-time highs, I sold. And now I'm starting to get some vindication. But even for a year and a half, my father was asking me, because he handled the finances up until his dementia and some other things started to make him struggle, and he gave it over to me. And he looked at me and he said, hey, you took all my money out of these dividend stocks. I'm losing my shirt here. And I said, just please be patient. I bought some CDs that were at like a 3% yield for a year. And he said, well, that's not better than the dividends I was getting in the growth. And I said, just wait, something's going on here. Now it's starting to come true. How it held out this long is the government keeps borrowing money from itself. And it's a snake eating its own tail, and it cannot survive any longer. It just can't. I'll leave you with this one as the last picture. For those of us in the military, this is a very stress-inducing picture. This is one of our current active, I think it's a destroyer. It might be a battleship, but it looks smaller like a destroyer. And I didn't read the full story on it, but this is a current picture. And I've been to military vessels that were used and retired back in the 70s and the 80s that have paint on them, and the deck is so clean that you could wipe it with a wet nap and then eat lunch off of it. And this is a current military vessel that is rusting and pitting right on the flight deck. Or, well, it's not a carrier, so it's not a flight deck, but right on the deck. We're falling apart at the seams. Our military has gone woke. The recruitment's way off whack. They're offering $50,000 bonuses for young people to sign up for things and sign up for the military, and young people are saying no. The ones they're getting are the dregs of society. And I'm not saying all military or the ones joining the military now are dregs. I'm just saying you're going to get some dregs that $50,000 sounds great and they can't be successful anywhere else, and the military will take them, and so that's what you're going to get in the military. We're now taking overweight people. We're taking people with bigger mental health issues than ADHD, like behavioral problems now, just to fill our military ranks. These are supposed to be who defends our country. And they're increasing how much money we spend on the military, and where's it going? Why are our ships in disrepair like this? This is something that I think feminists do, that all politicians do, that the news does. They all give you platitudes and warm feelings and tell you all the good news in the world as the ship is slowly sinking. And eventually enough people will kind of come out of the matrix to see that they're being lied to. Like, you can't lie your way out of poverty. You can't lie your way out of a collapse. And enough people still believe right now that things are okay, that they're going to keep voting their way right into a collapse. Now, how far down the rabbit hole do we go here? I don't know those answers. There are better people than me that will tell you what's going on in the financial world or the military front over between Ukraine and what's going on over in China. There's everybody's smarter than I am. I'll just put it that way. Everybody's smarter than that stuff than I am. But one thing I can tell, and I've always had a pretty good feeling about things, is when you start adding all the little pieces together, I can at least tell you the big picture doesn't look so good. How bad will it get? I don't know. I can tell you we're not through the bad parts yet. We're still on that slope sliding down. How far do we go down till bottom, till things change? I don't know. But I can tell you to stay aware. As many of these awful stories that you read and things are really bad, what they want to do is demoralize you and stick your head in the sand and piss you off, where you just say, screw it, I'm out. I'll leave society. But even if you're on that little ranch in the middle of nowhere, they'll come for you eventually. They will. And it may be by the time they invent some digital currency that's your central monetary use, and they disallow cash, and you go down to buy your favorite 3 steaks, and they tell you you can only have 1 pound of beef, and that's all you can spend this week because they're tracking you. You say, fine, I'll go hunt. Nope, there's no more bullets available. We've outlawed them. You can't buy them. You say, man, I wish I had bought a few thousand rounds like Joker did. You know, I don't know how crazy this world gets, but just keep planning for it. Just keep preparing for it. That's what smart men do. And then in the end, you know what? If it turns out I'm wrong, I'm dead wrong, and things are gangbusters next year, you know, everything improves, everybody, you know, men's rights come back, and the financial market's correct, and we get back on a standard, and everybody has the best year of their lives, I'll tell you what, I will be the first person to say, man, I was glad I was wrong, and you know, there we go. But here's the best, you know, in that case, even if you prepare for everything, how does that set you back? How does that make your life worse? It doesn't. It just means you'll sleep a little better every night as the world declines. You know, if you look at what happened in Buffalo, I mean, there were people that their lives were ended. There was mass chaos in these stores as people went in, didn't even wait in line to get in some of these stores. Just threw bricks and rocks through the windows, stormed in and stole food, stole water, stole batteries, stole whatever they wanted. That was after a couple days of a blizzard. What do you think is going to happen if things continue to go on the decline and people can't afford food? Do you think they're just going to say, well, I'll lay down and starve to death? Or do you think these robberies, these smash and grabs are going to keep happening, but they'll happen in Walmart instead? So next thing you know, you'll be in a Walmart or a grocery store buying your groceries, and somebody puts a long distance hole puncher to your head, and they says, give me your groceries and your wallet. I don't know, but be prepared for it. That's all I'm saying. And that I don't know how much further down we have to go, but we're not heading back up yet. And I don't know how fast it's going to keep going down, but we're still not there yet. We have a long way to go. The positive takeaway, guys, is that we are men, and men are good at adapting if you pay attention, if you use your critical thought, if you doubt everything you're told by the mainstream media, your governments, if you keep your head out of the sand and keep it on a swivel and see what's coming and pay attention and do some research. And I'm going to start doing more news stories over on my Locals channel. Maybe I'll start doing some on the B-sides. I've got a video I'm editing right now about my land updates that I'm going to put over there and over on Locals. I don't know the answers. I can just tell you we're just not there yet. So again, join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com. It's free to become a member. Join me over there if you want to join for a movie night. We'll be streaming Lethal Weapon and Trading Places tonight. So you can see, you get to see some 80s boobs. Because, you know, the gratuitous no reason, but it's 1980. Here's some tatas for you fellas. Those were good times. Let's be honest. Those are good times. So if you join us over there, we'll see you then. If not, Happy New Year, guys. For many of us, 2022 was a pretty good year. For many of us, 2023 won't be a ton worse, but don't expect things to get better. Just keep preparing for those bad times, because one day you'll be either right and you'll be in a comfortable place, or you'll be wrong and you can laugh it off and move on with life. Of the two, I definitely would rather be on the safer than sorrier line.